Hey, this is Craig from the .8 studio. Today I've opened up a mix session for Stand By Me, which is a cover I performed a little while ago that I put up on YouTube. It was kind of like a live looping video where I went around and played a few of the instruments and then kind of looped them all together. You can click the link and check out that if you haven't seen that before. It was a lot of fun. But it's a very simple mix. I thought it'd be cool to kind of unpack just the little sort of tweaks that went in to make it sound really nice. And so let's check it out. This is the song. This is the end bit when all the instruments are in together. So it's pretty classic rock sort of setup there. You got acoustic guitar, electric guitar, bass, drums, bit of percussion, main vocal, harmony vocal. So let's start by just having a listen to the mixed version, and then I'll quickly bypass all the settings so you can hear the unmixed version, and then we'll go through instrument by instrument and see what we did. So there's a few things involved. You can hear it changes a bit, kind of takes off that polish. You can hear it gets, you can hear that the compression is obviously a big part of it. There's some EQ changes and stuff. So let's check that out. It starts off with the tambourine and shaker. So we'll open up that track first. This is what it sounded like. So with that EQ, I've just taken out a bit of the sort of mid-range there, about, what's that, 750 hertz. About 10 dB out of that, so a fair bit. Let's just have a listen to what that's doing. Just cleaning it up there. Taking all the low end out, anything under, what do we got? Anything under 200 hertz is there. We don't need any bottom end from this, any of that sort of rumble. We're getting all that from the drums. Now I've just made it a little bit brighter, but then just taking off that very top, so it's not that sort of shakery sizzle that's right at the top there. That just really cleans the track up. So before and after of that. Sounding cool. Also just added these things. There's a fair bit of compression there, making it really tight and consistent. They probably weren't the same volume, so the compression's really tightened that up. Again, add a little bit more brightness, taking out a little low mids and a little bit of the bottom end. Next thing we brought in was the vocals. By me, won't you stand by me. For the vocals, just a little bit of woodiness I took out there in the low mid range, so that's about 380 hertz. That just cleans up a little. A lot of the work is done in the effects here. That's just a de-esser there, taking off some of the sibilants. This is first round of compression. So for this one, I've set it to just take off those big notes. It's not working very hard. At max, it's only taking off 5 dB, but often it's not doing anything at all. It's just really kind of subtle and just, that's the first round of compression. That's taking off all my peaks. And then I've put a second round of compression on here that's doing most of the work. You can see it's compressing most of my notes there, so it's kind of really balancing it out. Added a little bit more highs, a little bit more of that presence around 4K there, a little bit more bottom end to give it some oomph. So we'll hear that before and after real quick. Stand by me. Stand by me. Whoa, stand by. Just giving it some more life and a bit more oomph. I also ran that through. Turn this on. Some reverb. I ran the vocals through like a parallel compression just to make it a bit thicker. So I'll stick those on. By me, won't you stand by me. Stand
by me. Whoa,
Parallel compression has, I've taken off some highs, I've put in some high mids, I've put in some lows, so I want that to sound a bit different. That was adding like a bit of power, and you can see it's compressing fairly big there, like up to 20 dB sometimes of parallel compression.
Whoa, stand by me.
So that sounds nice and thick. Let's turn the vocals off while we do the rest of it. Next thing we put on was the acoustic guitars, so a couple of mics there on the acoustic. That's panned to the right hand side. Let's have a look. I'll just do the one for now. Let's have a look at what we did there. Took off the lows again. That's all being covered by the bass and the drums. So just the same, similar scoop to the vocal there. Just a tiny clean up of around 500 hertz. It's only 3 dB. It's not doing much at all really. Can hear a slight difference there as it just cleans it up. We open up this guy. So flick that on. You can see the compression is kind of just keeping it nice and neat. I'll flick that off. It just really cleans up and makes it smooth, so it's not so attacky, I guess, and transient. Added some highs there, added a bit of high mids, added a bit more lows. Put the high pass filter here right up to 200 and a lot, 282. So yeah, because we got that. Oh, I forgot the bass. The bass comes in before all that. The bass is taken up. I wanted the bass to be really smooth and that to always be kind of driving the song. That's kind of the hook to the song. So that was always in there. Let's go back now that we've done the acoustic and check out the bass. The bass I just took out 6 dB at 200 hertz there. I put it through a virtual bass amp. This is just a stock Cubase one. It's not particularly awesome to be honest, but I did the track here just to warm it up because I just DI'd the bass as I played it there. Through the mix here, bit of high mids, give it a bit of that bite. Took off a bit of the bottom end, it was a bit too bassy. And then yeah, fair amount of compression just to keep it smooth so that all the notes are kind of the same volume and it has that nice sustain. And yeah, the attack's pretty slow there, so you get that doop doop, that original note coming through. And then I put a de-esser on it, which I often do on a bass, which you'll see is just catching some of the slaps that I did every now and again, just that sort of, you know, the sound of that bass string slapping the pickup or whatever it's doing there that kind of gives that clicking sound. So the DS is getting rid of some of that for us. Let's move on to, we've got the acoustic guitar in the mix now. Next is the piano. All I've done is rolled off the low end of that. Because that's a virtual instrument, they normally sound pretty good. They've already been pre-mixed before you get them. So I think that's one of the easy key ones. It sounds quite poppy and small, which is cool for what we're doing. We've already got bass and they've already got guitar. We don't need a big grand piano to fill out the sound. We just want something that kind of punches through. So that sound was good. Yeah, then with this guy, I've just added some bit more highs, make it a bit more bright, high mids, bit of bottom end, and then just a little bit of compression. Because that's quite consistent, it's just taking off the attack of that note. Then we moved over to the drum kit. What we got here? Pretty smooth, just some basic EQ over the kick drum. Took out some of that boxy sound at around 1000 hertz there. Overheads, didn't need any EQ there. Put some in here. Bit of presence around 7K, taken out a bit around, what's that, 500, and just added a bit of bottom end. But then I've got a high pass filter all the way up to 300. So making sure that kick drum is dominating the bottom end of the drum kit. Let's have a listen to the overheads just on their own. add a room mic in there. Over the entire drum bus, we've got this guy. So taken off some of the highs altogether, put in a little bit more of that mid-range, around 3,000 hertz, sorry. Compression's not hitting very hard. I probably would once I turn the kick on, I think. There we go. So the compressor's just taken a bit of that peak off the kick and snare, which is just kind of gluing it together, gluing that drum kit together. And then there's got this revival here is like a harmonic saturator, I guess, so it's adding a bit of highs, a bit of shimmer they call it, and a bit of thickness for that drum. So this bus is doing a fair bit. Making that kit sound nice and thick there. Let's add our bass back in. Next thing I added here was the lead guitar line. Spent a bit of time getting the amp right so that I wouldn't have to do too much mixing in here, but again, just taking out some of that boxiness around 500 hertz. With my virtual mix rack, I've added some 4K just for that bit of presence and punch through. I've put on a little bit of the highs as well, but then I've scooped some off there. I usually do that on guitars, just kind of put a low pass filter on it so that you don't get a lot of that. That's just a really weird, airy sort of sound. I find the electric guitar can really tighten up when you take off some of those highs. So we got that there. Bit of compression as well, just making those, because it's a solo-y type part, it's all single note stuff. It kind of really makes the sustain hold out, make that really smooth so that sound is always there. It's not dropping in and out as I'm plucking the string. Then finally we put on the big chord part, which kind of made it it made it sound like rock, I guess. It took that. That's cool groove. Chuck the vocals on. Oh, what do we do that much? Yeah, so brighten that up as well. A few highs there, but we've also taken off left all the highs on there for that one. Bit of shimmer there up at top, around 6 hertz there, 6,000 hertz, giving that a fair punch for that to come through. A lot of compression on that just to make that a nice big thick sound, like a big wall of sound there. Then the vocals on. Harmony in there by now. Got reverb on the drums. So that's how it ended up. Let's have a quick before and after again. Stand by me. Stand by me. Whoa, stand by me. Oh, you stand. A lot of fun to do, a lot of fun to perform, a lot of fun to mix. If you haven't seen that video yet, you can check it out here. I hope you enjoyed that video, and if you did, it's probably because you're a songwriter or a musician, or you're interested in the studio in some sort of capacity. And if that is you, then I have a free download that you can take today. It's my Songwriting for the Studio guide. It's just a little thing I put together just to help us to write better for the studio. Once we get into the studio, often we come up against all these problems like arrangements or hooks or instrumentation or that sort of thing. So this guide just some good tips in there for songwriting for the studio. You might find that helpful. You can click the link here and download that for free. The other thing I'm super excited about is a Facebook group that I've just launched called The Art of Songwriting. So that's just a place where musicians can get together and share new content, kind of share ideas, get feedback, constructive feedback about their music. We can just chat about songwriting in general. I'm going to be sharing some links in there to some relevant material that will help us to songwrite. We'll also be sharing content like this and others that can kind of help us just grow as songwriters and do it together and kind of learn this art of songwriting together. So if that interests you, you can click the link here, or you can just search The Art of Songwriting on Facebook. I'd love to see you in that community. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in a later video.